Commander Kethver stood on the bridge of his massive warship. The Crimson Talon, his red eyes stared at the star map floating in front of him. For 300 years, the Vorthan Empire had ruled the galaxy. Every species they met either joined them or died. It was simple. It was clean. It was the way things worked. Today felt different. "Commander," said Lieutenant Dexahun, walking up to him, "we are getting strange signals from the third planet in the system." Kethver looked at the small blue and green world on his screen. It looked peaceful, pretty even. Most planets with life were boring. The creatures on them were usually weak and scared when they saw Vorthan ships. "What kind of signals?" Kethver asked. "Radio waves, sir. Very basic. But they just started using faster-than-light communication 3 days ago." Kethver's skin turned a darker shade of red. This was important. According to Vorthan law, any species that could send messages faster than light was dangerous. They had to choose, join the Empire or be destroyed. "Send the drones," Kethver ordered. "I want to know everything about these creatures." The drones shot out from the ship like silver bullets. They were small, fast, and invisible to most primitive sensors. Within hours, they would bring back all the information Kethver needed to plan his attack, but as the hours passed, something strange happened. "Sir?" Dexahun said, his voice worried. "The creatures—" "They found our drones." "What?" Kethver turned around fast. "How is that possible?" "I don't know, sir, but look at this." The main screen showed dozens of small flying machines chasing the Vorthan drones. The creatures had built these machines to fly in their atmosphere. Some were fast, some were slow, but all of them were trying to catch the drones. "Are they shooting at our drones?" Kethver asked. "Yes, sir, with projectile weapons. Very primitive, but they're hitting them." Kethver watched as one of his advanced drones got hit by what looked like a metal stick fired from a tube. The drone exploded in a ball of fire. "Impossible," he whispered. "Sir, that's not all," Dexahun continued. "Look at this." The screen changed. Now it showed the planet from space. All across the surface, lights were turning on. Cities were waking up. But it wasn't just 1 or 2 places, it was hundreds of them. "How many governments do they have?" Kethver asked. "We've counted over 200 separate nations, sir. They all seem to be talking to each other." "Talking? Yes, sir, but they're not agreeing. They're arguing about everything. Who should be in charge? What to do about us? How to fight us? Some want to surrender. Others want to attack. A few are asking if we want to trade." Kethver had never seen anything like this. Every other species he had conquered had one government, one leader, one army. It made everything simple. You defeated the leader and the rest gave up, but these creatures called humans were different. "Sir," another officer called out, "we're getting messages from the planet. Put them on screen." What Kethver saw next made him even more confused. The messages were coming from different places all over the planet. Each one was in a different language. The translation computer was working hard to keep up. The first message came from a place called North America. "Unknown vessels. This is the United States of America. Identify yourselves immediately or face military action." The second came from Europe. "This is the European Union. We wish to establish peaceful contact and open diplomatic relations." The third was from Asia. "Alien ships, this is China. Leave our space now or we will defend ourselves." Then came more messages from Russia, from India, from Brazil, from Australia, from small countries Kethver had never heard of, but the strangest message came from a small peninsula in East Asia. The translation computer said it was from something called South Korea. "Unknown alien commander," the message said. "This is Admiral Jinwoo of the Republic of Korea Navy. We have been preparing for this day since 1950. Our people have faced impossible odds before. We are ready to face them again. If you come in peace, you are welcome. If you come for war, you will find us prepared." Kethver stared at the screen. In 300 years of conquest, no primitive species had ever spoken to him like this. They were usually begging for mercy by now. Sir, Dexahun said quietly, I'm reading massive energy signatures from the planet's surface. What kind of energy? Nuclear, sir. Hundreds of nuclear weapons are being moved into position. But that's not all. They have satellites with weapons on them. Missiles that can reach space, and sir, they're building more. Building more? How fast? Their manufacturing capabilities are impressive, sir. They're working around the clock. Every nation is making weapons, different kinds of weapons. Some are very advanced, others are simple, but all of them look deadly. Kethver looked at his tactical display. Red dots were appearing all over the human planet. Each dot was a weapon pointed at his fleet. How many ships do we have in this system? He asked. 57, sir, our full battle group. And how many weapons are they pointing at us? Dexahun was quiet for a moment. Over 10,000, sir, and the number is growing. Kethver felt something he had not felt in many years, doubt. Sir, the communications officer called out. We're getting another message. This one is different. Show me. A new face appeared on the screen. It was a human female with short black hair and intelligent eyes. She was wearing what looked like a uniform. This is Colonel Taeho of the Republic of Korea Armed Forces, she said. I am speaking for the United Nations Defense Council. We know you are listening. We know you are watching. We want you to know that we see you too. The screen changed. To show images of Vorthan drones being taken apart by human scientists. We have been studying your technology, Colonel Taeho continued. Your drones are impressive, but they have weaknesses. We have found them, we have learned from them, and we have made improvements. The screen showed a human-built drone that looked like a copy of the Vorthan design, but different, smaller, faster, more dangerous. We are not like the other species you have conquered, the human said. We do not have one government. We do not have one leader. We do not have one way of thinking. This makes us hard to understand. It also makes us hard to defeat. Kethver watched as the screen showed human military bases all over the planet. Each one was different. Each one had different weapons. Different strategies, different ways of fighting. We have been fighting each other for thousands of years, Colonel Taeho said. We have learned every way there is to fight. Every way there is to win. Every way there is to survive. We are very good at it. The message ended with a simple statement. Choose wisely, Commander. The universe is watching. The bridge of the Crimson Talon was silent. Kethver looked at his officers. They all looked worried, sir, Dexahun whispered. What are your orders? Kethver looked at the small blue planet on his screen. For the first time in his military career, he was not sure what to do. These humans were not like anything he had ever seen. They were divided but united, primitive but advanced, peaceful but warlike. They made no sense, and that, he was beginning to realize, might make them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Prepare the fleet for battle, he finally said. But do not attack yet. I need to understand these creatures better. Yes, sir. As his officers hurried to carry out his orders, Kethver stared at the human planet. Somewhere down there, billions of strange creatures were preparing for war. They were not running. They were not hiding. They were getting ready to fight against impossible odds, just like they had always done, and for the first time in 300 years of conquest, Commander Kethver wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. Commander Kethver walked around his war room. The walls showed pictures of the human planet from every angle. His officers sat at their stations, watching the screens with worried faces. How long have we been watching them? Kethver asked. 72 hours, sir, Lieutenant Dexahun replied. They have not stopped working. Day and night, they build weapons, they move armies. They talk to each other. What are they saying? Many things, sir. Some want to fight us. Some want to talk to us, some want to hide. But they all agree on one thing. They will not surrender without a fight. Kethver looked at the biggest screen. It showed a map of the human world with thousands of red dots. Each dot was a weapon pointed at his ships. Send the ultimatum, he ordered. Sir, the standard message. They have 72 hours to surrender or we destroy their planet. Yes, sir. The communications officer sent the message that had worked. On hundreds of worlds, it was simple, it was clear. It always worked, people of Earth, the message said. This is Commander Kethver of the Vorthen Imperial Fleet. Your world has been chosen for integration into the Vorthen Empire. You have 72 hours to surrender completely. Lay down all weapons. Dismiss all military forces. Prepare for occupation. If you do not comply, your planet will be destroyed. This is your only warning. Kethver expected panic. He expected chaos. He expected the humans to start fighting each other about what to do. Instead, something much stranger happened, sir, the communications officer said. We're getting responses. How many? All of them, sir. What do you mean, all of them? Every government on the planet is sending us messages, sir, every single one. The main screen filled with incoming messages. They came from big countries and small countries, from islands and continents, from places with millions of people and places with only thousands. Put the first ones on screen, Kethver ordered. The first message came from the United States. Commander Kethver, this is President Johnson. We reject your ultimatum. America has never surrendered to bullies, and we're not starting now. Come and take it. The second came from Russia. This is President Volkov. Russia has faced many invaders. Napoleon failed. Hitler failed. You will fail too. We are ready. The third came from China. Commander, this is Chairman Liu. China has survived for 5,000 years. We will survive you too. Do your worst. More messages kept coming. From Britain. We faced impossible odds before. We rather enjoy it. From France. We have been invaded many times. We have outlasted them all. From Germany. We know something about warfare. You will not find us easy prey. But the strangest messages came from smaller countries. From Israel. We have faced extinction before. We chose to live. We choose to fight. From Finland. We are a small country. We have beaten larger enemies. Ask the Russians how that worked. Out for them. From Vietnam. We have defeated superpowers before. Would you like to be next? And then came the message that made Kethver's blood run cold. Commander Kethver, said a calm voice. This is Admiral Jinwoo of the Republic of Korea. We received your ultimatum. We have 3 words for you. Bring it on. The screen showed a human male in military uniform. His face was calm, his eyes were hard. Behind him, Kethver could see military officers working at computers. You want to know about Korea? Admiral Jinwoo continued. We are a small country. 50 million people. We have been invaded many times by China, by Japan, by Mongolia. We survived them all. The screen changed to show Korean cities. They looked normal. People were going to work. Children were playing. But Kethver could see something else. Military vehicles were moving through the streets. Soldiers were taking positions. Weapons were being moved. 70 years ago, Admiral Jinwoo said, 16 nations invaded our country. They had better weapons, more soldiers, more ships, more planes. The world said we would lose in weeks. The screen showed old pictures of a war, soldiers fighting in snow, cities burning, people running. The war lasted 3 years. We did not lose. We never gave up. We are still here. They are gone. Admiral Jinwoo looked directly at the camera. You threaten to destroy our planet? Commander, we have lived under that threat our entire lives. Nuclear weapons from north of our border. Invasion fleets from across the sea. Economic warfare from trading partners. We have survived it all. The screen changed again. Now it showed modern Korean military bases, submarines in the water, missiles in the mountains, soldiers training with weapons Kethver had never seen before. You think you understand warfare? Admiral Jinwoo asked. We wrote the book on fighting impossible odds. Sun Tzu was Chinese, but we perfected his teachings. We know every way to fight, every way to win, every way to make victory so expensive that defeat looks cheap. Kethver felt his confidence start to crack. But here is what you do not understand, Commander, Admiral Jinwoo continued. Korea is not alone. Earth is not alone. Every country you just threatened? They are all talking to each other right now? Sharing information? Sharing weapons? Sharing plans. The screen split into dozens of smaller screens. Each one showed a different country's military leaders talking to each other. Americans talking to Russians, Chinese talking to Indians, Germans talking to French, British talking to Australians. For the first time in human history, Admiral Jinwu said, every military on Earth is working together. Against you. Cuthbert watched in horror as the screens showed weapons being shared between countries that had been enemies for centuries. Russian rockets being loaded onto American ships, Chinese satellites being linked to European computers, Indian software being installed in Japanese fighters. You wanted to see our response to your ultimatum? Admiral Jinwu smiled. It was not a nice smile. Here it is. The screen changed to show the human space program. Rockets were launching every few minutes. Not just from one country, but from many countries' American rockets. Russian rockets, Chinese rockets, European rockets. Even small countries were launching satellites. We are not hiding on our planet, Commander, Admiral Jinwu said. We are coming to you, Cuthbert, as tactical officer spoke up. Sir, I'm reading massive launches from the planet's surface. Hundreds of objects heading toward our fleet. Are they weapons? Unknown, sir. They're too small to be ships. Too big to be missiles. They single quotes read ... different. On the screen, Admiral Jinwu was still talking. Oh, and Commander, about those drones you sent to spy on us? We kept a few. Our engineers have been very busy. The screen showed a human laboratory. Scientists were taking apart Vorthan drones. They were learning how they worked. They were building new ones, better ones. Dr. Miran is our best xenobiologist, Admiral Jinwu said. She wanted me to give you a message. She says your technology is impressive, but it has weaknesses. We found them. We fixed them, we improved them. The screen showed human-built versions of Vorthan technology. They looked similar but different. Smaller, faster, more dangerous. You have advanced shields? Admiral Jinwu said. We built better weapons. You have powerful engines. We built faster ships. You have smart computers. We built smarter ones. Cuthbert looked at his officers. They all looked scared. But here is the most important thing, Commander, Admiral Jinwu said. You came here expecting to find primitives who would beg for mercy. Instead, you found warriors who have been preparing for this fight their entire lives. The screen showed Earth from space. The entire planet was glowing with activity. Cities were lit up, factories were working, armies were moving, ships were sailing, planes were flying. Every human on this planet knows you are here, Admiral Jinwu said. Every human on this planet is ready to fight you. We have 8 billion people. They are all angry. They are all armed. They are all waiting. The message ended with Admiral Jinwu standing up. Behind him, dozens of military officers were working at computers, planning, preparing, getting ready for war. You're 72. Ours start now, Commander, he said. But I suggest you use that time to think very carefully about whether you really want to fight. A species that has spent its entire existence learning how to kill things that are bigger and stronger than we are. The screen went black. Cuthbert S. Bridge was silent. No one spoke. No one moved. Finally, Lieutenant Dexahan whispered, Sir, what are your orders? Cuthbert looked at the human planet. It was glowing brighter now. More ships were launching. More weapons were being moved. More soldiers were taking positions. For 300 years, his ultimatums had always worked. Species surrendered immediately, or died quickly, but these humans were different. They were not. Surrendering. And Cuthbert was beginning to suspect they would not die quickly either. Double the watch, he finally said. And get me a full analysis of their military capabilities, all of them. Yes, sir. As his officers worked, Cuthbert stared at Earth. Somewhere down there, 8 billion humans were preparing for the fight of their lives, and they seemed to be looking forward to it. Commander Cuthbert stood in his war room, looking at the battle plans. The 72 hours were almost over. The humans had not surrendered. In fact, they had gotten more aggressive. Sir, Lieutenant Dexahun said, the humans have launched over 300 objects toward our fleet. They will arrive in 6 hours. What kind of objects? We're not sure, sir. They're too small to be warships, too big to be simple missiles. Our computers cannot identify them, Kethver frowned. It doesn't matter. We will show these humans what happens when they refuse the Empire's offer. He pointed to a spot on the map of Earth. This military base here, it looks small and unimportant. We will destroy it completely. The humans will see our power and surrender. The base was on the Korean peninsula. Intelligence reports said it was just a naval facility with a few ships. Perfect for showing Vorthan strength without wasting too much ammunition. Prepare the assault fighters, Kethver ordered. 6 ships should be enough. Yes, sir. The Vorthan fighters launched from the Crimson Talon. They were fast, deadly, and equipped with plasma cannons that could melt steel. The pilots were confident. They had destroyed thousands of primitive military bases on hundreds of worlds. Target the base completely, Kethver told the flight leader. Leave nothing standing. Understood, Commander. The fighters entered Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. Human radar spotted them immediately, but Kethver wasn't worried. What could primitive humans do against advanced Vorthan technology? The attack began perfectly. Plasma cannons fired down from the sky. The Korean naval base exploded in balls of fire. Buildings melted. Ships sank. The destruction was complete and terrible. Target destroyed, Commander, the flight leader reported. No resistance encountered, Kethver smiled. Excellent. Return to the ship. Let's see how the humans respond to this demonstration. But as the smoke cleared over the destroyed base, something was wrong. Sir, the communications officer said, I'm getting reports from our fighters. The base was ... empty. Empty? Yes, sir. No people, no equipment, nothing important. It was evacuated hours ago. Kethver's smile disappeared. How could they know where we would attack? Unknown, sir. But, Commander, we have a bigger problem. The main screen lit up with alarms. Red warnings flashed everywhere. What's happening? Kethver demanded. Sir, something just came out of the ocean directly under our fighters. The screen showed a human submarine surfacing in the bay where the naval base had been. It was smaller than Vorthan ships, painted in dull colors, and looked very old. It's just one primitive submarine, Kethver said. Our fighters can destroy it easily. But before the Vorthan pilots could react, the submarine fired. The missiles that came out of the water were not like anything in the Vorthan database. They moved in strange patterns. They split apart in the air. They seemed to know exactly where the Vorthan fighters were going to be. Impossible, Kethver whispered as he watched 3 of his advanced fighters get hit by primitive human weapons. The fighters exploded and crashed into the ocean. The remaining 3 tried to fight back, but more missiles came from the submarine. Different kinds of missiles. Some were fast, some were slow. Some exploded with fire, others exploded with electricity. How are they hitting us? The surviving flight leader asked. Our shields should stop these primitive weapons, sir, the tactical officer said. The human weapons are designed specifically to penetrate our shields. They somehow know exactly how our technology works. 2 more fighters went down. Only 1 survived, and it was badly damaged. All fighters returned immediately. Kethver ordered. The last fighter limped back to the Crimson Talon, smoking and sparking. Its pilot was shaken and confused. Commander, the pilot reported, their weapons shouldn't work against us. But they do. They're crude and simple, but they're deadly. Kethver watched the submarine disappear back under the water. It had appeared, destroyed 5 advanced Vorthan fighters, and vanished. The whole battle lasted less than 10 minutes. Sir, Lieutenant Dexahun said quietly, we're getting a message from the submarine. Put it on screen. A human male appeared on the screen. He was wearing a naval uniform and had a calm expression. On his face, Commander Kethver, the human said. This is Captain Dong Hyun of the Republic of Korea Navy submarine Ghost of Incheon. Thank you for the target practice. Your fighters were very educational. Kethver's face turned dark red with anger. "We have been studying your drone technology for 3 days," Captain Dong Hyan continued. "Our engineer, Yun-hee, is very clever. She figured out how your shields work. She built weapons that can go through them. Simple weapons, cheap weapons, but effective weapons." The screen showed the inside of the submarine. Human sailors were working at stations filled with computers and weapons. They looked busy but not worried. "Your fighters were impressive," Captain Dong Hyan said, "but they had weaknesses. We found them, we used them. We will share this information with every military on Earth." Kethver realized with horror what this meant. Every human military would now know how to destroy Vorthan fighters. "But don't worry, Commander," Captain Dong Hyan said with a slight smile. "We kept 2 of your fighters mostly intact. Our scientists are very excited to study them. We should have copies of your technology built within a few days." The message ended, but immediately another one began. This time it was a human female, in a different uniform. "Commander, this is General Hyan-sik of the Korean Army. I wanted to thank you for the demonstration." Every military commander on Earth was watching. "We all learned something very important today." The screen changed to show military bases all over the world. In every base, human soldiers were working with new weapons. Weapons they had built in just 3 days using technology stolen from Vorthan drones. "We learned that your technology is very advanced," General Hyan-sik said. "But it's also very predictable. You build weapons to fight the enemies you expect. We build weapons to fight the enemies we don't expect." The screen showed human factories working day and night. They were building weapons that looked like nothing. In the Vorthan military database, strange shapes, weird designs, weapons that made no sense but somehow looked very dangerous. "You also made a mistake, Commander," General Hyan-sik continued. "You attacked a Korean base. Do you know anything about Korean history?" The screen showed old pictures of wars. Korean soldiers fighting against impossible odds. Always outnumbered, always outgunned, but never giving up. "We have a saying in Korea," General Hyan-sik said. "The nail that sticks out gets hammered down," but we learned something else. If you hammer enough nails, eventually you break the hammer. More messages started coming in from American generals, from Russian admirals, from Chinese colonels, from military leaders all over Earth. Each message was the same. They had all watched the battle. They had all learned from it. They were all building new weapons based on what they had seen. "Sir," the intelligence officer said, "every human military base on the planet is now armed with anti-Vorthan weapons. They're sharing technology faster than we can track it." Kethver looked at his tactical display. The red dots showing human weapons had doubled in the past hour. Thousands of new weapons were being moved into position. "How is this possible?" he asked. "Sir, the humans don't fight like any species we've encountered," the intelligence officer explained. "Most species have one military with one strategy. The humans have hundreds of militaries with hundreds of strategies. When one strategy works, they all use it immediately." "Are you saying they're learning from each other?" "Yes, sir, but more than that. They're improving on each other's ideas, making them better, making them deadlier." Kethver watched as more human messages came in. This time they weren't from military leaders. They were from scientists, engineers, and doctors. Dr. Sujin, a battlefield medic, appeared on screen. "Commander, I want you to know something. We don't just fight to kill. We fight to save lives. Every human soldier knows that someone will come for them if they fall. This makes us fight harder. This makes us take risks. This makes us dangerous." More messages followed, human engineers showing off new weapons, human pilots testing new fighters, human sailors launching new ships, but the message that worried Kethver most came from a young human female. "Commander, this is Lieutenant Yoon Young of the Korean Air Force. I'm 23 years old. I've been training to fight aliens since I was 18, not because we knew you were coming, because we always knew someone like you would come." The screen showed young human soldiers training with weapons designed to fight in space. They were practicing tactics for fighting enemies. With better technology, they looked excited, not scared. My generation grew up playing games about fighting aliens, Lieutenant Young said. We watched movies about it. We read books about it. We've been preparing for this our entire lives. You're not our nightmare, Commander. You're our final exam. The transmission ended, leaving Kethver S. Bridge in silence. Sir, Lieutenant Dexahun whispered, what are your orders? Kethver looked at Earth. The planet was glowing brighter than ever. More ships were launching. More weapons were being built. More soldiers were taking positions. He had come here to demonstrate Vorthan power. Instead, he had given the humans a free lesson in how to fight Vorthan technology, and they had been very good students. Prepare tea. Commander Kethver had made his decision. The humans had humiliated his scouts and destroyed his fighters. Now he would show them the full power of the Vorthan Empire. All ships prepare for planetary assault, he ordered. Deploy 60%. Of the fleet, I want overwhelming force. 34 massive Vorthan warships moved toward Earth. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a city. Together they could burn entire continents. Sir, Lieutenant Dexahun said, the humans are launching more objects toward our fleet. How many? Thousands, sir. From every part of the planet, Kethver wasn't worried. Human technology was primitive. Whatever they were launching would be destroyed easily by Vorthan defenses. Let them come, he said. Today they learn what happens when primitives challenge the Empire. The first wave of human objects reached the Vorthan fleet within an hour. They were small spacecraft about the size of Vorthan fighters, but they looked different, crude, ugly, like they were built in a hurry. Enemy fighters approaching, the tactical officer reported. They're moving in strange formations. Kethver watched the human ships on his screen. They weren't flying like any military formation he had ever seen. Some flew in straight lines, others zigzagged randomly. A few seemed to be flying backward. They have no idea what they're doing, he laughed. Destroy them all! The Vorthan ships opened fire. Plasma cannons lit up space. Missiles streaked toward the human fighters. It should have been a slaughter, but something went wrong. Sir, the weapons officer said, our targeting computers are having problems. The human ships are unpredictable. What do you mean, unpredictable? They don't fly like machines, sir. They fly like animals. Our computers can't calculate where they're going because they don't seem to know where they're going themselves. Kethver watched in amazement as human fighters dodged Vorthan weapons by accident. One human pilot seemed to be spinning out of control, but the spin made him avoid 3 missiles. Another pilot was flying upside down for no reason, which saved him from a plasma blast. Are they drunk? Kethver asked. No, sir, I think they creative. The human fighters reached the Vorthan ships and began their attack. What happened next defied every rule of space combat that Kethver knew. Instead of using energy weapons or guided missiles, the humans used kinetic projectiles. Simple metal slugs fired at high speed. The weapons were ancient, primitive, and completely devastating. Sir, they're not trying to destroy our ships, the damage control officer reported. They're trying to damage our engines, and our weapons, and our communications. Why would they do that? I think they want to capture our ships, sir. Kethver watched as human fighters swarmed around his warships like angry insects. They weren't trying to destroy the Vorthan fleet. They were trying to disable it. All ships, focus fire on the human fighters, he ordered. Ignore their strategy. Just destroy them. But the humans had another surprise. Sir, the communications officer said, the human fighters are broadcasting something on all frequencies. What are they broadcasting? Music, sir? Music? The bridge of the Crimson Talon filled with strange sounds. Human voices singing in harmony. Instruments playing rhythmic beats. It was unlike anything the Vorthans had ever heard. Why are they playing music during a battle? Kethver asked. I don't know, sir, but it's distracting. The human music was having an effect on the Vorthan crews. Some of the alien soldiers were stopping to listen. Others seemed confused by the strange rhythms. A few were actually moving, their bodies to the beat. "Turn off the music," Kethver ordered. "I can't, sir. They're broadcasting on frequencies we can't block." Meanwhile, the human fighters continued their attack. But they weren't fighting like any military force Kethver had encountered. Each pilot seemed to have their own strategy, their own tactics, their own way of fighting. Colonel Jamin led a squadron that attacked in perfect formation, following military doctrine exactly. Lieutenant Yunyun commanded fighters that moved like dancers, spinning and weaving through space. Captain Bio Young's group fought like pirates, using dirty tricks and surprise attacks. "Sir," the tactical officer said, "I can't predict what they're going to do next. Every human pilot fights differently. That's impossible. Military forces need discipline. They need order, not these humans, sir. They seem to think that unpredictability is a weapon." The battle turned into chaos. Vorthan ships found themselves fighting dozens of different human strategies at the same time. Just when they adapted to one tactic, the humans would try something completely different. Some human fighters rammed Vorthan ships directly, sacrificing themselves to damage enemy weapons. Others used their ships as decoys, leading Vorthan missiles away from their allies. A few pilots actually abandoned their ships and tried to board Vorthan vessels with nothing but personal weapons. "Sir," Lieutenant Dexahun said, "we're getting reports from all ships. The humans are side our vessels." "Inside? How?" "They're boarding us, sir. Small groups of human soldiers are getting onto our ships and fighting our crews hand to hand." Kethver couldn't believe it. "They're using boarding tactics in space combat? That's insane." "Yes, sir, but it's working." On the main screen, Kethver watched human soldiers fighting Vorthan crews inside a captured warship. The humans were smaller and weaker than Vorthans, but they fought with incredible determination. Sergeant Minho led a team of Korean Marines who had captured the engine room of a Vorthan cruiser. Instead of destroying the engines, they were studying them, learning how they worked, taking them apart to understand Vorthan technology. "Sir," Minho reported to his commanders, "these aliens build good engines, but they're too complicated. We can make them better, simpler, more reliable." In another ship, human engineers led by Wu Bin had taken control of the computer systems. But instead of shutting them down, they were uploading something into the Vorthan networks. "What are they putting into our computers?" Kethver demanded. "We're not sure, sir. It looks like information, lots of information." "What kind of information?" "Human. History, sir, human military tactics, human philosophy, human art, human music, human everything." Kethver watched in horror as human data flooded into Vorthan computer systems. The aliens' advanced artificial intelligence tried to process the information, but there was too much of it. And it was too strange. The Vorthan computers began to overheat as they tried to understand human warfare. How could one species have so many different ways to fight? How could they be peaceful and warlike at the same time? How could they cooperate and compete simultaneously? "Sir," the computer technician said, "our tactical computers are shutting down. They can't process human military doctrine." "Why not?" "Because humans don't have one military doctrine, sir. They have thousands, and they're all different, and they all work." The computers couldn't understand how humans could use advanced technology and primitive weapons at the same time. How they could follow strict military discipline while encouraging individual creativity. How they could fight to the death while trying to save enemy lives. "Sir," the technician continued, "the computers are reporting multiple logical errors. Human warfare doesn't make sense according to our models." "What do you mean?" "The computers say that human military tactics are impossible, sir. But the humans are using them successfully against us right now." On the battlefield, human forces were proving the computers right. They were doing impossible things and making them work. Engineer Wu Bin and his team had not only captured a Vorthan ship, they had improved it. Human modifications made the alien vessel faster, more maneuverable, and more heavily armed. "How did they do that?" Kethver asked. "They removed safety features, sir, and efficiency protocols and logical design elements. That should make the ship dangerous and unreliable. Yes, sir, it should, but somehow it works better now. Captain Bo Young was leading a group of captured Vorthan ships against their former fleet. The ships still looked alien, but they flew like human vessels, unpredictable, creative, dangerous. Sir, Lieutenant Dexahun said quietly, we're losing this battle. Kethver looked at his tactical display. Half his fleet was captured, damaged, or destroyed. The other half was fighting desperately against an enemy that refused to follow the rules of warfare. How? He asked. How are primitives defeating the Imperial fleet? They're not primitives, sir, Dexahun replied. They're something else. Something we've never encountered before. What are they? They're survivors, sir. They've been fighting impossible battles for their entire evolution. They don't know how to lose. They only know how to adapt. On the screen, Sergeant Minho was giving a report to his commanders on Earth. The aliens fight like machines, efficient, logical, predictable. We fight like humans, chaotic, creative, impossible to predict. He paused and smiled. Apparently that's terrifying. Kethver realized the horrible truth. His fleet wasn't losing because the humans were stronger. They were losing because humans were human, and being human, it seemed, was the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. Commander Kethver stood in his war room, staring at the tactical display. Red dots showed his losses. More than half his fleet was gone. Captured, destroyed, or turned against him by human crews. Sir, Lieutenant Dexahun said carefully, the humans are requesting communication. Which humans? Kethver asked. The ones fighting us or the ones who captured our ships? Both, sir. They're all working together. The main screen lit up. It was split into dozens of smaller screens, each showing a different human commander. Some were on Earth, others were on captured Vorthan ships. All of them looked calm and confident. Commander Kethver, said Admiral Jinwoo from his headquarters in Korea, we need to talk. About surrender? Kethver asked hopefully. About reality, replied General Hyun-sik from a captured Vorthan cruiser. You're losing this war. We thought you should know why. Kethver felt his anger rising. We are the Vorthan Empire. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Yes, said Captain Sung-ho from another captured ship. We've been studying your military records. Very impressive. You're excellent at fighting species that think like you do. What does that mean? Dr. Kyung-soo, who was somehow aboard Kethver's own flagship, appeared on screen. It means you're very good at fighting logical enemies, Commander. Enemies who follow rules. Who build sensible weapons. Who use predictable tactics. How did you get on my ship? Kethver demanded. We walked in, Dr. Kyung-soo said simply. Your security assumes enemies will attack the obvious targets. We attacked the cafeteria. The cafeteria? Food is very important to humans, Commander. We always secure the food first. While your soldiers were defending important military targets, we took control of your kitchen. Then we invited your crew to dinner. On the screen, Kethver could see human and Vorthan soldiers eating together in his ship's dining hall. They were sharing food and talking like old friends. We're not just warriors, Commander, Dr. Kyung-soo continued. We're social creatures. We like making friends. Even with people who are trying to kill us. Commander Haijin appeared on another screen. She was in what looked like a Vorthan laboratory. Your scientists have been very helpful, Commander. They're teaching us about your technology. In exchange, we're teaching them about human engineering. My scientists are helping you? They're very curious about human creativity. Did you know that Vorthan engineers never modify their designs after they're built? They think that's illogical. It is illogical, maybe, but it's also limiting. Commander Haijin held up a Vorthan weapon that had been covered with human modifications. We took one of your plasma rifles and made some changes. It's twice as powerful now and uses half the energy. That's impossible. That's what your scientists said. Then we showed them how it works. Now they're very excited about the possibilities. More human commanders joined the conversation. Each one had a different story about capturing Vorthan technology and making it better. Captain Yujin had taken a Vorthan fighter, and turned it into a ship that could operate underwater, in atmosphere, and in space. Your engineers said it couldn't be done. Our engineers said, hold our coffee and watch this. Colonel J. Min had captured a Vorthan communications array and used it to coordinate attacks across the entire solar system. Your communication system is very advanced, but it assumes everyone follows the same protocols. We don't. Lieutenant Yoon had somehow convinced an entire Vorthan ship's crew to defect. They're tired of following orders without understanding why. Humans ask why about everything. They found that refreshing. But the report that worried Kethver the most came from his own intelligence officer, Nixara. She appeared on screen from the bridge of a human ship. Commander, she said, I've been studying human warfare for the past week. I need to give you my analysis. You defected? Kethver asked, shocked. I requested transfer to the winning side, Nixara replied. It seemed logical. Report, Kethver said through gritted teeth. Sir, humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Not because of their weapons or their technology, because of how they think. The screen changed to show charts and graphs that made Kethver's head hurt. Every species we've conquered fights the same way, Nixara explained. They have one military, one strategy, one way of thinking. When we defeat their strategy, we defeat their entire civilization. That's how warfare works. Not for humans. Sir, humans have been fighting each other for millions of years. They've developed every possible way to fight. When one strategy fails, they try another. When that fails, they invent a new one. The screen showed human military history. Thousands of wars, millions of battles, countless different strategies and tactics. Look at this, sir, Nixara continued. In just the past century, humans have fought with horses and atomic bombs, swords and guided missiles. Individual soldiers and massive armies, they adapt to any situation. But they're primitive. No, sir, they're versatile. There's a difference. Nixara showed footage of the recent battles. Watch how they fight us. Every human unit uses different tactics. When we adapt to one group, another group does something completely different. Kethver watched human forces coordinate attacks across multiple star systems. Each group fought differently, but they all worked together perfectly. How do they coordinate without central command? He asked. They don't need central command, sir. Every human soldier is trained to think independently. They make decisions based on the situation, not on orders from above. That's chaos. Yes, sir, organized chaos. The most effective kind. Admiral Namsu appeared on screen from Earth's command center. Commander, we want you to understand something. We're not trying to destroy you. We're trying to educate you. Educate me about humans, about what we're capable of, about why fighting us is a bad idea. The screen changed to show human cities. People were going about their daily lives. Children were playing. Adults were working. Everything looked normal and peaceful. This is what we're fighting for, Admiral Namsu said. Not conquest, not glory, not empire, just the right to exist. To grow, to explore the universe in our own way. But you're primitives. Captain Duhayan laughed from a captured Vorthan ship. Commander, we put humans on our moon 50 years ago using technology less advanced than your personal communicator. We're not primitive, we're determined. We've been dreaming about the stars since we first looked up at the night sky, added Captain SCO Jin from another ship. You brought us the technology to reach them. We should thank you. We are thanking you, said Dr. Kyung-soo. By teaching you something important. There are different ways to be powerful. You chose size and strength. We chose adaptability and creativity. The screen showed more footage of human innovations. Vorthan technology modified and improved by human engineers. Alien weapons redesigned to be more effective. Captured ships rebuilt to fly better than their original design. Your technology is impressive, admitted engineer Wu Bin, but it's also limited. You build things one way and never change them. We build things to be changed. Because we know that no design is perfect, added Dr. Miran. Everything can be improved. Everything can be adapted. Everything can be made better. Even warfare itself? Said Sergeant Minho from a captured Vorthan base. You came here to conquer us using the same methods you've used for centuries. We've been inventing new ways to fight for our entire existence. Ambassador Duhayan appeared on screen from what looked like a diplomatic meeting. Humans and Vorthans were sitting around a table, talking peacefully. Commander, he said, we've been negotiating with your captured crews. They're very interested in human culture, human technology, human ways of thinking. What kind of negotiations? Trade agreements, technology sharing, cultural exchange, military cooperation. Military cooperation? Against real enemies, Commander. The galaxy is a dangerous place. There are species out there that want to destroy everything. We could work together against them. Captain Yujin nodded. Your ships are strong and well built. Our modifications make them stronger. Your soldiers are disciplined and brave. Our tactics make them more effective. Together, said General Hayansik, we could be unstoppable. Kethver looked at all the human faces on his screen. They weren't angry or triumphant. They looked ... hopeful. You're offering me an alliance? He asked. We're offering you a choice, replied Admiral Jinwu. You can keep fighting us and lose more ships. Or you can work with us and explore the galaxy together. But we invaded your world. Yes, said Captain B.O. Young with a smile. Thank you. For that, we learned a lot. You're thanking us for attacking you? We're thanking you for helping us understand what we're capable of, explained Commander Haijin. We didn't know we could fight aliens until you gave us the chance. Lieutenant Dexahun whispered to Kethver, Sir, what are your orders? Kethver looked at the tactical display. He had come to conquer a primitive world. Instead, he had found the most dangerous species in the galaxy, and they were offering to be his friends. For the first time in his military career, Commander Kethver didn't know what to do. Commander Kethver sat alone in his quarters, staring at reports from his remaining ships. The numbers were clear. He had lost the war, not lost the battle. Lost the entire war. In 7 days, the mighty Vorthan Imperial fleet had been defeated by a species that still used projectile weapons. It was impossible. It was humiliating. It was reality, a soft chime announced a visitor. Lieutenant Dexahun entered, carrying a datapad. Sir, Dexahun said carefully, I have the final casualty reports. How bad is it? 32 ships lost. 15 captured and converted. 8 damaged beyond repair. We have 12 ships remaining operational. Kethver closed his eyes. He had started with 57 ships. The humans had destroyed or captured 80% of his fleet. Casualties. Lower than expected, sir. The humans have been treating our wounded. What do you mean? They have doctors, sir. Good doctors. They've, been healing our injured crews. Even the ones who were still fighting them. Kethver opened his eyes. They're healing their enemies. Yes, sir. They said it was the right thing to do. A communication alert sounded. The main screen activated, showing Admiral Jinwu in what looked like a human command center. Behind him, Kethver could see human and Vorthan officers working together at the same stations. Commander Kethver, Admiral Jinwu said, we need to discuss terms. Terms of surrender? Kethver asked. Terms of departure, Admiral Jinwu replied. You're free to leave whenever you want. Kethver stared at the screen. What? You're not our prisoners, Commander. You never were. You're our guests. Unwelcome guests who shot first and asked questions. Later, but still guests. I don't understand. Admiral Jinwu smiled. We know you were following orders. Your empire told you to conquer or destroy us. You tried. It didn't work. Now you can go home and tell them what you learned. What did I learn? That some species are too dangerous to conquer. Not because they're strong, but because they're unpredictable. The screen changed to show the captured Vorthan ships. They were being repaired and modified by human engineers. But the work was being done by mixed crews of humans and Vorthans working side by side. Your crews don't want to leave, Admiral Jinwu said. They're fascinated by human engineering. We're fascinated by Vorthan science. It seems we have a lot to learn from each other. Are you keeping them prisoner? We're keeping them busy. There's a difference. Captain Sang Min appeared on screen from one of the captured ships. Commander, permission to speak freely? Granted? Sir, these humans are incredible. Their engineering doesn't make sense according to our textbooks, but it works better than anything we've ever built. Explain. They took our main engine and modified it with spare parts from their coffee machine. The engine now produces 30% more power and runs twice as efficiently. That's impossible. That's what I said, sir. Then Engineer Wu Bin showed me the math. It works because they don't follow our rules about what's possible? Dr. Kyung-soo joined the conversation from the laboratory section of the same ship. Commander, I've been working with your science team. We've made breakthrough discoveries. About faster-than-light travel. What kind of discoveries? Your technology makes ships go very fast in straight lines. Our modifications make them go fast in any direction, including directions that don't exist yet. Kethver's head hurt trying to understand what that meant. Sir, Dr. Kyung-soo continued, I recommend that we establish a formal scientific exchange program. Your people understand the science. Our people understand the impossible. Together, we could revolutionize space travel. More reports came in from captured ships. Every report was the same. Vorthan crews working happily alongside human crews. Technology being shared and improved. New discoveries being made every day. Commander, said Captain Eugene from a ship that no longer looked anything like its original design, I have to report something disturbing. What now? The humans are teaching our crews to think creatively. It's contagious. Contagious? Yesterday, Engineer Velka suggested using our waste recycling system to generate extra power. Velkas has never had an original thought in his life. But now he's inventing new things every day. Is that bad? It's terrifying, sir. And wonderful. And completely against regulations. Admiral Du Hyan appeared on screen from Earth's capital. Commander, we've been in communication with other species in the galaxy, the ones your empire has conquered. Kethver felt a chill run down his spine. What did you tell them? The truth. That it's possible to defeat Vorthan forces. That conquest is not inevitable. That freedom is worth fighting for. You're encouraging rebellion. We're encouraging hope, Admiral Du Hyan corrected. There's a difference. The screen showed messages from dozens of star systems. Species that had been conquered by the Vorthan Empire were asking questions. How had humans defeated the mighty Imperial fleet? Could they learn these tactics? Could they fight for their freedom too? Commander, Admiral Du Hyan said seriously, your empire has a choice to make. You can try to reconquer all these worlds through force, or you can offer them something better. What's better than the security of the empire? Partnership, cooperation. The chance to explore the galaxy together instead of under Vorthan rule. Captain Sung-ho joined the conversation from a modified Vorthan cruiser. Sir, I've been talking to your crews about Vorthan history. Your people weren't always conquerors. What do you mean? 300 years ago, Vorthans were explorers, scientists, artists. You built beautiful cities and amazing technology. Then you decided that conquest was easier than cooperation. Conquest brings order. Conquest brings fear, Captain Sung-ho replied. Fear makes people angry. Angry people fight back. Eventually you spend more time fighting than exploring. But our empire is strong. Your empire is brittle, said Dr. Miran from a research station. It only works as long as everyone is afraid of you. But fear doesn't last forever. Eventually someone always fights back, like you did, like we did, and now like others will do. Ambassador Nam-soo appeared on screen from what looked like a diplomatic meeting with representatives from multiple species. Commander, we're forming a new alliance. Not an empire based on conquest, but a partnership based on cooperation. Your people are welcome to join. What kind of partnership? Scientific research, cultural exchange, mutual defense, exploration of new worlds, trade agreements. Everything the galaxy could be if we worked together instead of fighting each other. And if we refuse? Then you go home, Ambassador Namsu said simply. We're not going to conquer you. We're not going to force you to join. We're going to show you what's possible and let you decide. Kethver looked at all the human faces on his screen. They meant it. They were actually going to let him leave. Why? He asked. Because conquest doesn't work, explained Admiral Jinwoo. You can force people to obey, but you can't force them to cooperate. Real cooperation has to be voluntary. But you defeated us. We defended ourselves, corrected Captain Bo Young. There's a difference. We didn't want to fight you. We wanted to understand you. And now we do, added General Hyansik. You're not evil, Commander. You're just limited by the way you think about power. What do you mean? You think power comes from controlling others. We think power comes from working with others. Your way makes enemies. Our way makes friends. Lieutenant. Dexahan whispered to Kethver, Sir, the crew is asking what we should do. Kethver looked at his tactical display one more time. The humans had given him back some of his ships. They had healed his wounded. They had shared their technology. They had offered friendship instead of demanding surrender. It made no sense. According to everything he knew about warfare, but it worked. Commander, Admiral Jinwoo said, you're welcome to stay as long as you want. Learn about us. Teach us about you. But if you decide to leave, you can take a message back to your empire. What? Message? That humans are willing to be friends with anyone who approaches us in peace. But we're too dangerous to fight and too stubborn to conquer. Kethver made his decision. Open a channel to all ships, he ordered. Yes, sir. All Vorthan vessels. This is Commander Kethver. We are departing this system immediately. Prepare for faster-than-light travel. Sir? Dexahan asked quietly, what will you tell the Empire? Kethver looked at the human planet one last time. It was still glowing with activity, still building, still growing, still reaching for the stars. I'll tell them the truth, he said. That we found a species that's too dangerous to fight. Because they're too strong? Because they're too human. As the Crimson Talon prepared to leave Earth's solar system, Kethver received one final message. Commander, said Captain Seo Jin from a human ship, when you're ready to see the galaxy through human eyes, you know where to find us. We'll be here, reaching for the stars. The last thing Kethver saw as his ship jumped to faster than light speed was dozens of human vessels following him into space. Not to attack, not to chase. To explore. To reach for the stars, just like they always had, and in his final log entry, Commander Kethver wrote, Today, I learned that the most dangerous species in the galaxy is not the one with the biggest weapons, or the strongest ships. It's the one that never gives up, never stops learning, never stops dreaming of something better. The humans are that species, and that makes them the most dangerous allies we could ever have.